Tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, jikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's session of the Daily African Proverbs. We are live and direct here on Clubhouse, and we are also live on YouTube. And I have a really wonderful guest today, the incredible Chioma Sheri. For those of you who are meeting Chioma for the first time, she's an amazing creative writer and poet. And every Wednesday, Chioma joins me here for the Daily African Proverbs, which is recorded for the African Father in America podcast. So, be ready for a treat. Today, we are going to, learn a little bit of Chioma's perspective on the proverb that we are discussing, which is from South Africa. And, I'm working on a number of projects with Lita, who just joined us. Lita is in South Africa, so I messaged and I was like, hey, we are talking about a South African proverb, you have to come. So I'm just so excited that Lita, you're here, and I see Makuba and Yolanda and Johnny, and I'm really excited to get Shayla's perspectives. But I want to pin the link to the YouTube live stream so that all of you who are on Clubhouse can join us there. I'm so grateful to all of you who have been supporting the growth of the African Father in America podcast. We recently reached 50,000 downloads across all podcasting platforms. So we are working hard, and because of your support, we are seeing growth in the podcasting world. And also on YouTube, we are almost at 2,000 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you before we go too far. And I'm now going to pin this link here. I'm terrible at multitasking, so forgive me.
Me too, Johnny. Me too, Simon.
Anyhow, so the proverb from South Africa says, sugarcane is always sweetest at the joint. And when Stella picked the meme for this proverb with the images of the sugarcane, I was literally salivating, because I grew up in a region where sugarcane was common. We had sugarcane from the Kisii Highlands. So, we also had sugarcane from the savannah, like the lake basin, like Muhoroni, an area called Muhoroni in Kenya, and Koru. And so we tested sugarcane that was grown in the highlands where the soil was rich, and also sugarcane from very poor soil. And this proverb, I didn't, when I was young enjoying sugarcane, I didn't even think about anything like what this proverb is telling us today. So I just have a deep appreciation for it. But Chioma is going to share with us a few things that are going to really help us learn this. But the most exciting part for me throughout our conversation today is the poem that Chioma is going to share with us that was inspired by this African proverb. So remember, every Wednesday, Chioma and I, pick a proverb, then she creates a poem out of it. But the other thing is that Wednesday, we also give away a copy of my book, Rooted in Love. We are just going to give away one copy today. Last week, we gave out 2. The week before that, we gave out 3. So we want to give out just 1 today. And so just stay tuned, because we will be sharing a question later on and asking you to give us your perspectives. Now, all of us in our lives, we've gone through a phase where we are being told that you can't accomplish this goal. You can't start the African Father in America podcast. There's just no time. That I was being told that you can't just start One Vibe Africa. You should be employed full time. You can't just produce Madaraka Festival. You need a lot of funding to produce a festival like that. Until it's almost the 9th year after we started doing Madaraka Festival that I realized that I should have actually continued listening to myself. I should have done it better earlier. And so this proverb is teaching us 5 things that I just want to say quickly before I bring on Chioma, who is going to really, really help us even deepen our understanding of this proverb. These are the takeaways, and I'll repeat them, maybe once or twice in the course of our conversation. Number 1, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. Number 2, believe in your ability and believe in yourself. And number 3, stay focused on your goals and don't get discouraged. Staying focused is very hard. Reading it is easy. Take action towards your dreams and don't give up easily. You have to fight. If you have a dream that you truly believe in, you have to keep fighting. And then number 5, be persistent and never give up on your dreams. Be stubborn. And adjust accordingly. Now, Chioma, I want you to just take a moment, share with us what today's proverb means to you. The proverb, again, for those who are just joining us, it says, sugarcane is always sweetest in the joint. This one is from South Africa. So, Chioma, share with us your perspectives, where you're joining us from, and then we'll continue the conversation.
Hey everybody. Again, my name is Chioma. Thank y'all so much for being here. Like all of you all in the audience. I see so many people. I see Johnny, I see Yolanda, Makuba, Tiffany, Roger, Sheila, Letha, and also just so many people on YouTube. So just thank you all so much as always. And just thank you for supporting me and also supporting this daily African proverb. This proverb actually, I'm calling it from Philly as well. And this proverb took me on a journey. So when I first read it, so sugarcane is always sweetest at the joint. Initially, I just thought joined as bone. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's true. Like once you get past the meat, it's really when you're close to the bone that it's like you get the good stuff, you get the real stuff. And though I think this holds like similarities in some ways to how I interpret this proverb, I think it's a little different because it mentions joints. And so yes, joints is kind of like a part of the bones, but it's kind of different. So when I was thinking about this, I started thinking more, and I started doing a little bit of research. And so the sugarcane has like joints like throughout it. And I've also had like sugarcane a few times when I was younger. And what I know about sugarcane is that it's easily broken at its joints. And it's usually like when you want to share it or when you want to break it or save it or, just portion it out, that you like either you break it at the joint or you cut it at the joint. And so thinking of that in relationship to this proverb, so this idea of like the joint is also being where something is like easily broken, it just made me like think that like there's like a lot of beauty and sweetness in those, I guess, those vulnerable times, those struggling times, those difficult times, or just those different times. And I just feel like just recently, just thinking of like all the change and that happening, there's beauty and there's sweetness to find in it. And so that also led me to think about just the body and the anatomy of the body. So, we have joints all throughout our bodies. And so similar to like the sugar cane, the joints are oftentimes where we get broken easily. So we broke our knee, broke our ankle, broke our wrist, our elbow. But it's also the place where a lot of movement happens. It allows for mobility. And so when I think of that, I think of the joints as being where changes take place. It's where exploration and growth can happen. So when I think of that also in relationship, I'm just like, to this proverb, I'm just like sugarcane is sweetest at the joint. So at that place. So those tender places is also it's where movement happens. It's in change and all those things where we can find sweetness, and where like a lot of sweetness actually lies. So overall, I feel this proverb, it inspired me, or is telling me to lean in and find the sweetness in all those moments that are, uncomfortable or difficult or hard. And that when I do find it, hold on to it, because it's there, and it's that's going to get me through, and that's going to really just change me. And like, it made me think of how, if you look at the sugar cane again, like the joints are throughout, literally throughout the sugar cane. And if you look at our body, our joints are throughout. It's throughout. So I think of life, I'm like, there's joints, there's moments in life where we're going to be tender, where there's going to be difficult, where there's going to be change, right? But the thing about the joints, right? Like, if you think if you're eating something sweet and it's really sweet, like, it's going to encourage you to want to eat more and to keep going, right? So just like imagine like the body, right? And so you're at the elbow, you're like chewing, you're like, oh, this is sweet here. Like, when you find that sweetness, you're like, okay, I can hold on, I want to get some more sweetness. And you'll travel, you'll journey through the arm, then you get to the wrist, and it's like, this is just like encouraging me to like find those moments and to hold on, that there is always something at the other side. Just like joints, there's always something on the other side. So that is kind of what I got from this proverb. And yeah, I'm complete.
Yeah, it's true. I was just because I've eaten a lot of sugar in real life. Sugar, not sugar, but sugar cane. And as you're describing it, I was just visualizing it, and I just appreciate what you had to share. But I also want to say that when you're eating sugar cane, like when you have the whole sugar cane, sometimes we would go to sugarcane plantations and actually steal the sugarcane from there. So you'd have like a whole cane, and it's very hard at the joint, and when sugarcane grows, for it to mature to the next stage, so it's like little stumps, and then the joint is the space between between the body of the sugarcane. So there's the joint, the body, and then the joint, and then the body. So it's you have to use a lot of energy to chew that part, and you can even actually break you have to have strong jaws to eat, especially the joint. So this proverb is just lovely. Thank you, Chioma. Now let's move on to I wanted us to go to the poem, but I just want to check in with our audience members. I want to first thank everyone who is here with us on YouTube. I'm just reading the comments here. I see that Fred is here. Thank you so much, Fred, for being here. And Cheryl, thank you so much. Cheryl says, Fred says, Grand Rising. Cheryl says, yes, there is sweetness in the tender places. And then MJL says, yes, look for the good in the not good. I love that. And I also see Ravon is there with us. Thank you all so much. And here on Clubhouse, I see Tiff, I see Dr. Ayoka. Thank you for joining us. And Roger, Makuba, Yolanda, Johnny, Bibi, Lita, and Sheila. Thank you all for taking your time to be here with us. Now, I just want to pass this microphone briefly to Simply E. Simply E helps us with making these Wednesday sessions possible. So I just want you to share with our audience members how they can stay engaged during the rest of our conversation.
Yes, this is one of my favorite places. African Father in America Club is one of the best clubs on Clubhouse, and then Daily African Proverbs is definitely my favorite within that. Oh my goodness! So this is if you want to stay in touch, which it's not hard because YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, you can go in any places that you're comfortable in. And explore and follow and see, respond. I think the interaction, right, being able to give your interpretation and respond, I think is the best thing going. And being able to go to whatever platform you feel comfortable in is a great thing. I did venture outside of my comfort zone and start hitting up the different spaces like YouTube. And there you can actually see the faces of Simon and Chioma as they're interviewing and giving us their perspective of the daily African proverb. So I just love this space, and I think it's great that you can be in comfort no matter what platform you're comfortable with, and then you can be encouraged to come over. So if you're listening right now on YouTube, if you just want to come and check out Clubhouse to see a perspective from there, come on in. And if you're in Clubhouse, hit the link there above so you could just see what the YouTube side looks like. When you're in YouTube, go ahead and join. I mean, it keeps you in touch. Sometimes you're surprised by what you see. I think it's just super dope. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you very much, Simply E. Yeah, now we are going to, just invite Chioma to share with us the poem. And also, if you're on Clubhouse, please feel free to join the stage. Just raise your hand and join us on stage. I would love to hear your perspectives. In about 8 to 10 minutes, we are going to begin hearing from all of you. But for now, we want to hear a beautiful poem from Chioma inspired by today's proverb.
Thank you, Simon. Alrighty, so the proverb again. Sugarcane is always sweetest at the joint. And here's my poem. There was beauty in what felt like my breaking. There was movement in and after what felt like my breaking. In my most tender, most vulnerable place, there was sweetness, palpable enough to be rooted in, to stand on, to get me through today, into tomorrow, and through tomorrow, into the next, and through the next, infinite. In what felt like my breaking, there was breakthrough. To think it's in my most fragile place that I'm connected, reconnected, and held together is wow. Life, just like sugarcane, always sweetest at the joint. That's it.
I love it. I love all of it. I'll let Simply E just speak to it for a second, and then we'll continue on. Welcome, Afifa. Welcome, Maximilian. Feel free to join us on stage. Simply E, what do you think?
I love that. So Chioma, today you touched on storytelling, and I loved it. I loved the vivid explanation that you gave and the description. It was very pure. So thank you for that. I just had a piece of sunshine in that piece.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think Rooted in Love got a little shout out there too.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I said Simon's gonna catch that, right? Be rooted in.
No, I caught everything. I caught everything. This was a good poem. This was a good poem. If you're to start the book, this is the first one. I'm joking. Anyhow, thank you all for joining us. This is so amazing. And it's only during the African Father in America podcast and during our Wednesday sessions where you get to hear a poem made out of an African proverb, and it's just special. I'm so happy that we're doing this, Chioma. If you're joining us for the first time, we do this Monday to Friday, but we are out the whole of April. We have to just refuel, and also the book project needs a lot of energy while it's still new. So we are at the joint, with this book project. So we have to push it a little harder. But there are five lessons that I shared as takeaways for today that I'm hoping to share again later. But we want to continue on for a moment here. One of the things that I love asking my guests is, what these proverbs mean to them, especially what childhood stories these proverbs remind them of. So if you're a guest in the future, you'll be answering this question. But also, I've always asked leaders that join me as guests, what is it that happened to you as a child that still inspires you today as a leader to continue pushing on. So Chioma is going to share with us just quickly from her perspective, is there a story from her childhood that today's proverb reminds her of? And then after that, we are going to talk about your 365 days of writing.
So Simon, you always give me with the childhood question because I'm always like, this hits me now. This hits me in adulthood as a young adult.
And that's fine too. You can speak about that.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like just like right now there's just so many changes and transitions happening in life, just shifts in like relationships and friendships. The passing of like my uncle at the end of the year, and just watching other friends also go through different things and different forms of grief. So for me, this proverb really speaks to this moment. Um, like just the beauty that you can find in these times, the way that God shows up in these times and people show up in these times. I don't want to get too deep, um but I'll go and talk about just a specific moment back in college for me. So I was going through a lot in my department. I ended up on academic probation, and it wasn't like any like academics related, but they put me on academic probation. But just like throughout that period, it was just kind of like a lot for me. And I remember one day really just being depressed, and two of my bro friends, they text me. It was like late midnight. They was like, "You want to go to Walmart?" Because I was just so depressed at the moment, but I was like, yes, I'll go. And it was just that
Hey,
little
Chioma,
sort of, yes.
I missed something when you said you wanna go to, and then you,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So no, my friend. So during that moment, that day, it was like really late at night, probably like 12 midnight. Two of my friends, they were like, "Chi, you want to go to Walmart?" And I'm just like, I was depressed at that time, but I was like, you know what? Let me do it. And to me, that moment was just like so beautiful because like my friends knew that something was going on. So it showed me that they saw me, and just like the level of friendship that they like, just the love that they have for me, I was able to see. And like not just in that moment, but even afterwards, how they still held me up. Like even when I did end up transitioning out of the department, like they still showed up for me. But it was in those like really difficult times where I was able to see like the strength and just the love of my friends and my community. So yeah, that's one moment that I'll speak to for now. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely amazing when in your mind you think you're alone, but you're surrounded by people who really want you to succeed. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now let's talk about the 365 days of writing, of poetry. The day before yesterday, I was looking at your Instagram and I saw that you are on day number 80, you know? And I want you to share with us why this is important to you. And I see quite a few people in your community are also doing it, you know? And why is it important for your community, you know?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so important to me for so many reasons. I'm going to start by opening up and explaining it with this quote that I actually saw yesterday. It's from Alice Walker. And it says, I think writing really helps you heal yourself. I think if you write long enough, you will be a healthy person. That is, if you write what you need to write, as opposed to what will make you money or what will make you fame. And so that was a quote by Alice Walker. And I feel like in many ways, it's a part of also why I'm writing. So for me, writing, it's been healing for me. It's been healing for surprisingly so many others in my community. Like there's people who told me like, oh, your poem made me think of this person, or your poem got me through this, or your poem made me want to start writing more, or seeing your journey made me want to start writing more. I have a few sisters who like joined me when I said I was going to start this, and one of my sisters, Sharon, she's still like going firmly like with me. And I just remember her telling me that like just this process has been healing for her. So for me, writing every day is healing. Writing every day is like encouraging me as a writer to be consistent. Writing poetry every day is me challenging myself. Like there's healing in writing. There's moments for me to imagine and reimagine, to like come face to face with like different versions of myself. It's like, I don't know, it's been amazing, like for me personally, but also to hear like what it's also done for other people. Like I think it's also creating sort of like a community and connection with others as well. So this for me has just been, it's really been amazing, because I've done stuff like this before, but they were always 100. They were like 100 days. And this is my first time ever doing 365 days. And it's kind of crazy because like I haven't missed a day yet. And it's nothing wrong if you do miss a day, because when I did the challenge prior, when I was 100 days, I had to play catch up a lot, but it's just like, wow, it's showing me a lot about myself. So yeah, that's why it's important for me. And I think just in whatever you do, even if it's not writing, I think there's something really beautiful in just being consistent. So yes, that is my answer to that.
Yeah, I love that. Writing is healing. Writing is really healing. If you do it long enough, you're not only healed, but you can end up with you can end up with a project like myself. It took me 6 years to 6 years to be able to hold Rooted in Love in my hands, and a lot of it was also dealing with self-esteem. Should I really put this work out? Does it really look good? And there were many people actually that looked at it and discouraged me completely, But then there was the stubbornness that I have, stay focused on your goals and don't get discouraged, That's the number 3 lesson that we talked about earlier. We have 5. I'll be sharing all of them later. But you just have to be stubborn. And I love what you have to say. Now, of course.
I just, I really love what, you said. You said that some people, discourage you, and even you yourself had to like deal with like self-esteem issues in like getting this book out. And I think that's also like what I always, come up against, when on my writing journey. Like some days, like I come up with a poem and I'm like, ugh, is this good enough? Is they gonna like it? And then I'm like, wait a minute, Chioma, what are you doing this for? Like I always have to come back to my goal, or back to myself, back to God. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna share it. And so thank you for doing that with your book, for sharing. And for not letting like anybody, or even your own self-esteem, your self-doubt at the time, like stop you from doing this. So yeah.
Yeah, of course. One of the things that, as we were talking, just came up for me is, I read a lot of books to my kids, and when I see some of the content in those books, I want to criticize them, but I can't criticize them in front of my kids too much, because they'll be like, you just criticize all these books that you are reading for us, but you've never even written a book, So now I've written a book, and now I want to show them, like, this is the kind of content that you write about Africa, about people who look like me, or about Kenya, it needs to be this quality, even in how, when you touch the book, if you look at a lot of books that are written by people who are not African, about Africa, even the cover is cheap. It just looks like nobody cares. Even the content, the way people talk about Africa in books, people are not African, especially children's books that I've been reading. I wanted to write a children's book. I never actually wanted to if it was me, I will write multiple children's books, Yeah, because I feel that I feel that our children, African children, need to learn African proverbs in beautiful ways when they're still young, you know. They need to be exposed to our culture and our stories. We need to have children's podcasts, you know, discussing these things. We used to have a Saturday session with children here.
Beautiful session.
You know, the Saturday sessions with kids here in the Daily African Proverbs was just amazing. I loved it, but I can't sustain it. You know, I can't. You miss it. I miss it too. I miss it too. Anyway, we'll continue on. Chioma, thank you so much. You know, I want you to share with us how people can stay connected with you, though. So for now, I do want to ask you to take notes. Capture some of the things that excite you the most about the comments from our audience members and our speakers. And now we want to just go, PTR order. For those who are not on Clubhouse, that means, in order of who was on the stage the first time. Anyway, Simply E, I want to bring it to you. Share with us your perspectives, where you're joining us from, what you've grabbed from this conversation. Feel free to reset the room if you want. And also just take us a little deeper into this proverb. What does it mean to you? The proverb says, sugarcane is always sweetest at the joint. Thank you.
Yes, and here's the thing. It's I'm familiar with the sugarcane actually, and with me being a grower, that was funny to me. Like, how are you not familiar with the sugarcane? So I had to look at it a little bit. And the funny thing is, even though I did a little bit of research and just looked at it, I said, you know what? My interpretation is pretty simple. It's when you know where the sweet stuff is, you don't waste time getting to it. Um, so that's kind of like I think we do that in life, right? Once you figure out where the sweet things are, the pity pat time is over. You don't just go to the part and then work your way to it, because why? And so there's just some simplicity in that, right? But I did have a lot of fun sort of looking it up and seeing that the leaves are pushing out from the actual joint. So that was a lot. Um, just wanted to do a little bit of reminder here. If you're on you later, when you look at this later and you say, "Oh, okay, I missed my chance to have a voice," don't think you missed your chance. Come on to Clubhouse and you can just join the club from there. And then on the next episode, you'll have an opportunity to raise your hand and come up and have your voice heard. And you can also always put your comments on YouTube as well. But that's just an open invitation after the fact. So if you're thinking, "Oh, I missed it this time," the next day you can come in Monday through Friday on the other side of it and be heard. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you, Simon, for the space.
Fantastic. What is your interpretation of today's proverb?
Oh yeah, that was my interpretation.
Perfect.
When you know where the good stuff is.
Yes.
Yeah, when you know where the good stuff is, don't waste time.
I really
Just
loved
get
though.
straight to it.
I really loved the reminder that the leaves of sugarcane sprout from the joint. That's something I had totally forgotten about, and it tells you the importance of the joint. I was saying earlier that it's also the most difficult to eat. You have to add strong jaws to eat that part. But now we are here at Sheila. Sheila, share with us where you're joining us from, and also what today's proverb from South Africa means to you. It says, sugarcane is sweetest at the joint.
Hello, thank you. I'm joining in from Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, yes. So the proverb, actually, I liked what Chiwoma ended by saying, there's something beautiful in just being consistent. I love that, and I definitely quoted that. There's really something beautiful in just being consistent. As for my interpretation of this proverb, I think it's basically saying perseverance will always pay off, and it'll definitely be sweet in the end, especially when you have been told that you can't do it. Maybe to take it further, I guess this proverb is just teaching us that when you start something, it's always hardest. When you try to eat, when you start eating a sugar cane, it takes a lot of energy to start eating it, and even from peeling, I guess is it the leaves or the stalks, you have to put in too much energy, and it's always hard. You have to have strong teeth. So it's just when you continue to eat the sugar cane that you actually get to taste the sweetness, and when you get to the stalk, when you get to the stump, that you actually get to taste the sweetness. It's the same with life. If you persevere, it's hard to start something, but if you continue to do it, if you continue to persevere, it's always going to pay off eventually. That's my interpretation of today's proverb. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us from Zimbabwe and for sharing with us amazing words of wisdom. Now we want to go to Lita. Lita, who is joining us. My brother, thank you again for making the time on short notice. Share with us your perspective. Sugarcane is always sweetest at the joint.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here. This is such a sweet proverb. For me, it's like just took me back to my childhood days when I had sugarcane for the first time, and in Xhosa they call it umpuru. And I remember holding this thing and trying to bite it, and nothing would happen. So I sucked it as well, and nothing would happen. And everyone around me was looking at me all weird, and so I just like continued, and eventually I started to bite into it. But what was strange is that my teeth weren't strong enough at the time, but I kept going, and I kept biting until eventually I just tasted this amazing sweetness that just came through. And for me, that was the most joyous experience of my life once I got to that point, And I loved sugarcane as a young kid, and I just kept going at it, and the nice thing it was just so much as a kid that I could literally just either continue or put it away, or the best part was to share it, And now when I reflect on this proverb when I'm much older, it just reminds me of that story. But the most important lessons from that as a kid was always like, you have to be strong in life in order to pursue your goals. So do whatever it takes to kind of resource yourself to be able to pursue your dreams and your visions. But most importantly, it's not going to be easy. So you have to persist, and there'll be times where people might look at you funny or laugh at you, and just focusing in on yourself and just really telling yourself that, no matter what it takes, I'm going to get to the sweetness of it all. And then when you get to the sweet part, oh man, it's just the best ever when you realize your goals. And the best part is that you can always, for me, it's always been the thinking of the future and putting stuff away, whatever I make resources wise, whatever connections I build in the process. It's about maintaining them in the long run. And the final part is, sweetness is meant to be shared, And I love the idea that we could always share in this beautiful sugar cane, So whatever dreams that I have, we can all somehow, help each other to realize each other's goals through inspiration, through inspiring others, or whatever the case might be, So for me, sugarcane is sweet is the most beautiful proverb that I've heard in a while. I'm ashamed to say, as a South African, I haven't heard it. But hey, thank you, Simon. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to look for sugarcane, my friend. It will change your life.
Trust me, I'm on it.
Now, with this proverb, even me, when I eat sugarcane next time, I'll just be thinking about this proverb, I'll be more aware, because I know the sugarcane has more than just the physical thing you're eating. There's much more that comes with it. But Lita, I have a couple of questions for you. I want you to just quickly introduce what you do with Ancient Wisdom Africa, along with Gogo Rutendo Ngara. And also, for those who are meeting Lita for the first time, join us for Africa Day here on Clubhouse in the Africa Day Club on May 25th. We are doing the 24-hour marathon again. And one of those hours is going to be focused on ancient African wisdom. And Lita, speak to it a little.
Oh, thank you so much, Simon. Gogo Rutendo and Simon are good at putting me on the spot. But anyway, here goes. So I think ancient wisdom is about just literally the idea of saying, Kofa, how do we go back and fetch what's missing? You know, there's so much beauty within Africa. And for us, when we started off ancient wisdom, it was just like, um, how do we find more beautiful African stories and find elders and share in the wisdom that the elders carry? So we work with various communities and we help indigenous knowledge systems holders and elders to pretty much preserve and also share in the different streams, you know, of wisdom that come through from them. So one of the things that we do is we've got this beautiful organization called the Sangha, where we meet in different days. There's drumming, there's different water healing fractals, and also we have like kind of weekly Zoom, monthly full moon Zoom sessions where we'd have an elder just come on and share the wisdom that they have, you know. So they would pretty much be talking about, you know, how did our ancestors lived, and how can we take that wisdom and knowledge and apply it in today's life, you know. So we're really excited to be working with Simon and to see what we can tap into our networks and bring forward for Africa Day. So yeah, that's more or less. But if you want to check it out, go to the Ancient Wisdom website. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to talk about that, Simon.
You should always be ready, right? Because you might be at the joint of the sugarcane and you think you're still at the body of it. So we are at the joint right now.
You could be, of God. But thank you for that
Of
opportunity.
course, of course. Hey, I realized that there's something we could actually be doing together. So look at your WhatsApp. I think we need to figure out how to to do more programming in the African Wisdom Club. We have a club here with over 3,000 members, and we have not been doing as much in it. And I feel that what you do with ancient Wisdom Africa is really in alignment with that club. So I sent you a message in relation to that.
We give thanks, my brother. Thank you so much for this beautiful community. Blessings to everyone. Such an honor to be here. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Keep up the good work. Hey, Bibi, thank you again for being here with us. How are you and the family, and where are you joining us from? And also, what does today's proverb mean to you? Again, it says, sugarcane is always sweetest at the joint.
Thank you, Simon. I'm good. I hope all is well on your end as well. Yay! I'm in here today because the baby did not wake up last night. Well, of course I did wake up to change her and feed her, but she slept throughout the night, so I'm not as sleep deprived today like usual. So baby steps. And also, I wanted to tell you guys that there's more than one type of sugarcane, right? I hope you guys know that. But if you didn't, there are two kinds of sugarcane. Bless you. The reddish kind is the one that everyone knows, and I think you guys are all talking about. But there's also one that's green, and that green one, it's actually softer to eat, and it's also softer to peel, and it's a little bit warmer on the warmer side versus the red one. The red one, it gets really cold when you bless you when you get it early in the morning or later in the evening, and it's really hard, and that's like the sweetest one. But just wanted to let you guys know that there are two kinds of sugarcane, and in my childhood, I remember we ate more of the green one because the green one is the one it's easier for us to eat as little kids. It was easier for us to chew, but if we really wanted the sweet ones, then we'll go for the red one. And that red ones, it's like my grandma used to peel it for us, so that way we don't have to struggle peeling it and struggling with it. And sometimes we use that one also, like when our teeth are loose and it needs to fall off. Sometimes my grandma would give us the sugar cane that's really hard to choose. That way we can just chew on it and our teeth will come off easily. To me, that's my childhood memory that I clearly remember. And as far as the proverb goes, I would say the first thing that popped in my mind was delayed gratification. And when it comes to the sugarcane, the red one, it takes a little bit longer to grow and be ready for it to eat, for you to be able to enjoy it. So just like in life, sometimes the sweetest things takes a little bit longer than the not so sweet ones. Like the green one, it grows so fast. It's like it just like it takes over. It's like it's one of those plants that just grows like weeds. But as far as the red one, it takes a little bit longer than the green one. So if you really want to enjoy the green one, you don't have to wait that long. But if you really want to enjoy the red one, it's gonna take a little bit longer for it to grow. So patience and take your time and just have some discipline. And to have delayed gratification, you definitely need discipline. So that's my take for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bibi, for your perspectives. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you start thinking about it in how many types of sugarcane we have out there, then it becomes even deeper, and it allows you to think about it even differently. So thank you for that. Hafifa, how are you today, and what are your perspectives on today's proverb from South Africa?
Hi, I'm fine. It's Hafifa, and I'm joining you from Tanzania, East Africa. Reminds me of a Swahili proverb, which is exactly the same. It's like the translation of it. Mua mtam kwenye kifundo. Mua means sugarcane, and mtam means sweet. Kifundo means the joint. So this proverb reminds me of how life can be. I remember when I was joining my university, my parents were not very stable financially, and I really had to work hard during my holiday before I joined the university. So I used to volunteer in one of the Islamic organization that they were teaching young children. So I was as one of the teachers. So I went through a short training as a teacher, and then I had to work for about 9 months. So
Yeah.
Join my university is all. So I am facing this hard time, but in the end, I'll face some good time. Perhaps I'll have my own business or I'll get a good job, but then I have to work hard so that I can get to the sweet part of life. Yeah, so that's all from me.
Thank you, Afifa. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with what you shared with us today, and thank you for joining us from Tanzania. Stella, how are you doing, and what does today's proverb mean to you? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're most welcome, Afifa. I think Stella might be away from her phone. I just want to welcome everybody who is joining us here for the Daily African Proverbs. We are in the last 10 minutes of our time together today. And so, I just want to ask you to remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also remember to, connect with one another here on Clubhouse. If you're on YouTube, remember to, give this video a thumbs up so that when we go live again, YouTube is going to notify you. And now we want to come to Steve. Stella, are you there? Just unmute if you're there. If you're not, we'll go to Steve. Oh, there you are.
I'm here.
Nice to hear your voice. Share with us your perspectives on this proverb.
This proverb to me, uh, it is, I take it literally. It reminds me of my days as a young girl. We would wait at some corner to buy sugarcane from these beautiful ladies who would get them from the lakeside. And then we would have like 1 Kenya shilling, and you would get a very big piece of sugarcane. And our favorite type of sugarcane was, we used to call it Kampala. I don't know why it was called Kampala, but they were so sweet, especially at the joint. So the proverb really, for me, I take it literally. It reminds me of how I used to eat that kind of sugarcane. And nowadays I can't find it anywhere. So yeah, otherwise I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
And yes.
Yeah, I'm just happy that you're here too. And I feel that the joy of eating sugarcane was taken away when sugarcane started, being sold in supermarket after it has been, all the the bark of the sugarcane has been taken out. It has been cut into small pieces. You don't even know where the joint is. I think this proverb might not be remembered if sugarcane stays the way it currently is being consumed. Unless you go to the rural areas, you won't experience what this proverb is speaking about. So, I remember those days as well, Stella. And, when I was in Kenya in October last year, I actually drove from Nairobi, to Kisumu, and we passed through the sugarcane plantations, and just seeing all the tractors with the sugar, and the people in Kenya, people still cut the sugarcane for sugar production by hand. So, the tractor also has people, it has sugar, and it's just a vibe. If you travel through those places, you experience this story differently. Steve, how are you doing? And what is your perspective on today's proverb?
Hello, I'm doing good. Thank you for this session, Simon, and greetings to everyone. I'm joining from Kisumu, Kenya, and listening to all of you talk is just amazing, and the different perspective and views that you're giving about sugarcane just makes me feel like chewing sugarcane this very minute. But again, looking at the proverb and trying to demystify it to my understanding, to the best of my knowledge, I'm trying to look beyond the sugarcane, and I'm trying to relate sugarcane with our day-to-day struggles. If you look at sugarcane when it grows, because I've grown some sugarcane in my kitchen garden, it takes a while. It takes a process for the sugarcane to grow to maturity and to develop the sweetness that we are enjoying at the joint. And the same translates to our day-to-day struggle. We go through a lot of hustle and bustle to make ends meet and for us to become somebody in the society. And believe me, some of us get to that point where they want to give up, and some of us get to that point where they've had enough of it and they just want to let go, and many of us also just lose it. But understanding the sweetness that we enjoy, the sweetness that concentrates at the joint of the sugarcane, gives me that courage that the struggle is not yet ending until I call it an end. Keep on struggling until you develop that you harden yourself. And that's the point where you realize that this is what my struggle was worth. This is what the fight I fought for has yielded. And to me, I really love this proverb, and it just reminds me that I have to keep going, and there is no room for quitting until the concentration of the sweetness have really reached that point that it's sweet enough. Thank you very much for this proverb and for choosing this proverb for today's session. And I'll leave it at that point and surrender the mic back to you, Simon. Asante sana.
Karibu sana, Steve. Thank you for your perspectives as well. Hey, Sarah, how are you? And what are your perspectives on today's proverb from South Africa?
Hello, my name is Sarah. I am joining from Toronto, Canada. And when I saw the proverb, I just couldn't help myself because sugarcane was my favorite thing to eat day by day, and I was very impatient waiting for it to grow, as some of you have pointed out that it grows very slowly. So I used to wait just a few months until there is, let's say, a few joints on the sugarcane. I uproot it and eat it. And my mother was always like, "You're very impatient. You should let it grow first, and then it will be much bigger and much sweeter." But I wasn't patient enough to wait for it. For me, this proverb actually points to life. One thing I thought about when seeing the proverb was at the joint is actually where the two parts of the sugarcane meet, and I wanted to connect that to my life, especially right now. It's like um, it's like a place where you're working so hard to start a new chapter of your life, and in that moment, where you're working hard to start a new chapter in your life is actually where all the fruits come from, or all the sweetness. If we are going again to the according to the sugar cane, and I was just thinking, at one point in life, you are just going, and nothing is hard yet, and then you reach the hardest part, and you want to give up. And that hardest part is actually where your new chapter of your life will uproot, and much more sweeter and much more sweeter than the last. And at that hard point is where you think of giving up, as most of you have pointed out. But if you give up, then you want to get to the next part of the sugar cane. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I loved how you described the impatience of growing sugarcane and your mom was telling you, hey, just be a little patient. It will get bigger and sweeter. And I remember that so vividly. I remember growing sugarcane too. It was common actually in Kenya, where you'd buy a whole sugarcane from the market, then you eat the whole thing, and then your parents would always tell you keep the lower part, which has a lot of roots, and also the top of it, and grow those. And before you know it, you have sugarcane, and you never have to buy sugarcane if you keep planting. So I just loved listening to that. And now we have our last speaker, my brother Earth. How are you doing, and what are your perspectives on today's proverb?
Peace and love, family. It's Brother Earth. I'm calling from the North Carolina territory. And again, I'm at work and I've been kind of moving around in the shuffle. That's why I joined the conversation so late. And the sister who just spoke, she touched a lot of what I was thinking. When you think about the joint is where two parts or two sections come together and meet. And it's like the common ground, and you can look at that as two people or two different bodies of people coming together for a common cause. And, like they say, two heads are better than one. Of course, with two different parts working together at the same purpose, the rewards will be much sweeter. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love to you, my brother Earth. This has been an amazing conversation. And I just quickly want to bring it to you, Chioma, because I know you've been taking a lot of notes. What did you hear from our friends today?
Oh, I heard so much. So I'm just trying to go through them really quickly. Simon, you talked about how it takes like a lot of energy and you need strong jaws to eat at the joint of the sugar cane. Simply E, you said when you know where the sweet stuff is, you don't waste time getting to it. And I was like, okay. Um, Sheila, you said perseverance always pays off. Letha, you said you have to be strong in life to pursue your goals. Sweetness is meant to be shared, and I really love that. Sweetness is meant to be shared. BB, you talked about delayed gratification, and that's the sweetest things take a little bit longer. FIFA, you said what I like. You said you have to work hard to get to the sweet part of life. Stella, you talked about how just how sweet the sugar cane is, and I really like what you said. You said that you can't find it anywhere nowadays, and that to me just really spoke to how we should appreciate these moments, find moments to like of gratitude. Stephen, you said sweetness sweetness you said when the sugar cane grows it takes a while to it takes a process. So that made me think of a lot about process and how sometimes like it's during the process where we want to like give up, but it's like that's how we get to the sweetness. Sarah, you said the joint is where the point of the sugar cane meet. It's the hardest part where the sweetest part or the next chapter of our life begins, and I really love that. And Fred, you said I was trying to get some of the YouTube comments as well. Fred, you said the sugar cane symbolizes the struggle for survival. And Marla, you mentioned that the sugar cane is sweet, yet there's more to experience to learn. And like you mentioned, like there's different points of entry, and that also just made me think of like there's so many different joints just like in life. And so there's many moments that we're going to hit a joint, hit a tender place, and it's really like sitting in and taking in what we can learn in that moment so that when we do get to that again, we'll be able to get through it. So yeah, those are my takeaways. Simon.
Thank you so much. I love that. And if you are joining us a little late, here are the 5 takeaways that I had prepared with the help of Stella, who is the amazing person who is helping me produce the Daily African Proverbs. Number 1, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. And these are lessons that we derive from this proverb from South Africa that says, sugarcane is always sweetest at the joint. So number 1, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something, Number 2, believe in yourself and your ability to succeed. Number 3, stay focused on your goals and don't get discouraged. Number 4, take action towards your dreams and don't give up. And last is be persistent and never give up on your dreams. Thank you all so much for making the time. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'm not sure if Gogo Rutendo Ngara is going to be there. She's traveling. If she is, it would be wonderful. But I'll be here again on Friday. And before I go, check out Rooted in Love, my new book, my first book. And I think Chioma and Simply E already have copies of it. It's on my Linktree, on my Instagram, and also on my Twitter. And I'm just grateful for today's session. I really enjoyed it. And Chioma, how can people stay connected with you before we wrap up?
Oh, I mean, you can stay connected with me through following me on IG, chioma.shuri. Yeah, so that's like one of the main points to stay connected with me.
Perfect. And also, if you want to learn about the 365 days of writing that Chioma has been doing, the best place to do that is on her Instagram account. Thank you all so much, and I am truly, truly grateful. Have a beautiful day.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast.